Hi guys, this is Chichi again. Today I bring you an analysis of a replay from a friend. My friend is Coco. He likes to play Techies, so he asked me help with watching some of his replays and telling him where he can improve. He has been doing a great job of improving. He's really relatively new to Dota. He started only some months ago. For some reason, he likes Techies. We're not gonna judge him for that. But as you know, the thing with Techies is it's a very special hero. It doesn't work like most of the other heroes in the game. It's really you need to find a better mindset for the hero in the game. It's not as playing some mid, it's not like as playing some offlane. The hero doesn't really fit most lineups, and the way you can be successful with him is not exactly the usual way that you can be successful with most heroes. So, bearing all this in mind, I think my friend's main problem still remains the same. The first time that I helped him, I analyzed, I think actually also a video is first minutes 5 minutes in the game, and I said this first 5 minutes are already what you have to work on. These are going to be the tone that you are going to set for the rest of your game. Here is where you can actually start improving, not only because it's the first thing literally when you enter a game, but also because the choices that you make may advance you in such a way that you get advantages over your adversaries. And in the rest of your game, that's going to reflect really well on how much gold you can get, how much experience, how much useful you are for your team. So looked at his game again, and I think his main problem is still exactly the same. There's a lot of things that he improved, but essentially he's not terrible in the mid to late game, or he does good team fights in interesting choices at that point. But his start still could get so much more work. So bearing that in mind, I'm gonna watch this now. You see here the game starts, and he immediately TPs to lane. This is a very good thing that he does, that he learned to do. As a techies, you want to be as soon as possible somewhere placing your mines up because they're literally traps for the enemy. What you also want to do is you want to place them in places where you think they're going to walk, and so basically where you think they're going to be useful to damage them or to achieve a certain objective. Uh, Also, I'm not going to concentrate here, for instance, in specific things like the draft or looking too much at these items. I think it's fine. He went for the Soul Ring recipe basically to try to get item later on the side shop because the rest of the pieces you can get on the side shop. He got a fuck ton of clarities to use them to get mana to place his bombs. So far, so good. As you can see now, I'm going to pause here. What I think about this specific beginning. He walks into the offlane. He places these three mines here, he pops his clarity. I don't dislike this, on the contrary, this is very interesting. The only thing that I might do differently if I was this deck was this bomb specifically, for instance. The way your enemies walk, you're gonna realize it's probably something like they either walk in this lane, they either walk here, or they walk here, like this hero is coming out to do. You have all these two enemies here. So this bomb might not only not be useful in the ways, the patterns that they walk, but also it can actually be visible maybe to the enemy here, depending on how he manages to block his creeps, depending on the creep's movement, etc. Also depending on the Techies position. But still, all of this said, this is fine. He's applying pressure. No one right now in the map knows where he is, and he plays three bombs that literally do something like constrain the enemy's positioning. Either the enemy walks there and they get either maybe even dead or just harassed really strongly by his bombs, or they don't walk there, so there's this movement that you control. Okay, so far so good. Now, what is gonna do that I don't necessarily also love is, let's pass here a little bit to make it quicker. He places another one here. So as you see, he wasted all this time before the game actually began, just placing these bombs in this path. So this is the only path he controls. This is the only card he has for himself, right? Okay, so fine. He walks out and he decides to place bombs in another place, and he walks here. Now, this is important. First, when he was placing these three bombs, the first thing he did was to pop a clarity, and that was really good. That allowed him to place another two bombs. Then, the problem is, he forgot again they had to pop another clarity. As you know, the way clarity works is it restores your mana over time. So you want to make sure, and if you have two at the same time, that doesn't work. You need to have one at each time. That's the only way it's going to work. So to do this as good as possible, to be as efficient as you can, you need to make sure that as soon as you see that you go down and you have the cooldown of your bombs in a specific place that's enough for you to pop another clarity, to make sure that you keep having that mana, at least always enough to pump to put more bombs, which cost in this case 110 mana, as you can see. You need to keep popping those clarities. At least always have one working for you, because as long as it's working, it's literally restoring is literally restoring all the time, you see, over a duration of 50. So you need to keep them working. And what happened here was when he placed the other second two bombs, he forgot about that completely. He didn't pop one. So now his mana pool is completely depleted. He has nothing. And he placed another bomb here. Now we'll have to wait possibly a very long time until he can have another one to use. But that's still so good, so fine. He placed a bomb here. Again, is this a place that I love for another bomb? Not really. Why? Because the way Techies works is you want to achieve something with your bombs, right? There's a very different ways that you can do this. You can achieve something by harassing your enemies. For instance, I think this wind already exploded some bomb here because she walked there. Another thing that happened was because this wind popped that bomb there, she didn't die, but she got her health way down. As you can see, she's at 332 now. So in a way, you harass her. You're gonna make her waste her regen. You're putting pressure on the lane, and the thing is also right now you're playing a mind game in the sense that your enemies know Tekis is down here. Your enemies know Tekis was there. So this wind, for instance, if she's smart, and we're gonna see that she's not super, but still smart enough to realize, oh, I'm not gonna walk here, right? Because I exploded the bomb here. God knows where are the other bombs. So if you're a smart playing against techies, you know that if he places a bomb somewhere, you're going to avoid that area because probability is there are more bombs there. What you're going to do is literally follow the path of your creeps because these bombs explode with creeps also. So you're going to let your creeps go. You're going to sense in this way if they're exploding bombs or not, and you're going to stay behind them. And one thing that you should certainly not do ever is going into the secret shop, for instance, because you know there's a higher chance that techies place bombs there. Well, in this case, Techies didn't even place them on the side shop. He placed them here, behind the trees. This is still enough area of effect to affect maybe a hero that places himself completely on the side. But as you can imagine, it's also not that great. You're not making sure that they don't go into a area that you don't want them to go, because it's kind of irrelevant if they go into the trees here or not. And they're not going to do that because they want to be either getting last hits or arresting someone, and you can't do that here. And you're also not completely making sure that you arrest them because maybe they don't walk in the area enough for that. So again, it's kind of an okay-ish bomb, but still you're not doing as good as you can. And the real problem starts now. After this, what's gonna happen? In this case, Wind even spotted him out. She went there, she ate the tango. She didn't die. Now she exploded this bomb. She knows Tech is also here. What do you think it's gonna happen? Yeah, exactly. They're gonna stay in this area, in the lane. They're gonna walk back and forth, and they're gonna be really careful not to die to his bombs. So if you're the Stackies, the best that you can do right now is to leave. At least try to be in the fog, so they don't know where you are, so they are not certain if you're still in the area placing bombs or not, right? That also allows you to make sure that they maybe don't call missing, so the other lanes don't know. So suddenly no one really knows where Tekis is, and Tekis can be doing other things. Such as what? Such as getting gold for himself. He also actually needs to get gold for himself, he needs to get experience. Right? And one thing that you can do with your bombs is you can get that. What he chooses to do is, he wastes another bomb here. He has no clarity now because she broke it a bit ago. So he has been a bit harassed by those creeps that he pulled not on purpose. So now he lost a fair bit of his HP. He has no way of regaining it because he doesn't have that on his build. It doesn't have enough mana for this. It doesn't want to pulp a clarity, maybe because it's scared of being interrupted. And at the same time, what is he exactly accomplishing with this? Well, not much, right? Not much. He tries to go on this wind with the help of Lina, and he ends up walking into tower range. Now, this is another thing that you can very easily avoid. And I'm telling this as a noob myself. I'm terrible. I was terrible with this until they actually placed the tower ranged in the tower. You have that, I don't think you can see it here, but if you click in game on a tower, you see this red line around it. That red line means that when you're inside that line, you're going to get attacked. If you stand completely on the outside, you're not going to get attacked. This is very useful, not only for diving in certain situations, not only for positioning yourself in general, but also for stuff like if you play a lot of support, you want to place sometimes wards that are really close to the towers, for instance, here behind it. And this way, you know exactly where the tower range ends, so you can place it outside of that range. So the tower is not going to attack and see the ward. So this is another thing that it could very well know. This wind, for instance, she actually still is level 1 and she has a power shot. I'm not sure if he knows this. Maybe he did because I think she used it at some point. If he does, it's easy to know that she doesn't have wind run to escape indeed. But at the same time, you're just a techies. You're not gonna pursue under tower in hopes of killing her because the complete best that can happen is you kill her, but you also die immediately after. And you're killing a wind in a lane that's this is hard to know because low level games, but she would be the support in this lane, I'd say, compared to the core invoker. And the invoker will still get the kill over you. So maybe it's not worth to actually try to get a kill on the wind while dying yourself and feeding gold to the other core. So okay, this ends up actually resulting in Lena's death. And now our techies, it's the worst part begins, is when it decides to keep placing bombs in exactly the same places. And this is a really big problem. It doesn't leave the lane. It stays here. It doesn't have any way of regenerating, so as you can see, is in a very critical HP spot because it's just a techies. If his enemies are anything good, they can also harass him a lot and pressure him a lot if they find him here. He's kind of a bit protected still because of the bombs, but they're also not doing anything. And he keeps showing himself in lane. So all of this time, the other lanes are playing completely freed from the idea of a tech is in the game. They are not afraid of going anywhere. They are not afraid of doing whatever they want because they know the tech is here. The Techies keeps protecting only the same area. So imagine this enemies, for instance, wants at some point to go on you and they just literally go around. They can do this. They go down the stairs, go like this, go up the stairs, and bam, you've avoided all of your bombs. And they don't even know they're there. They don't need to do this, but it's a possibility. So right now you have another hero that's just sitting on a lane, sapping the lane's XP, pushing the lane with the right clicks that don't really also get the last hits. Also doing this while his core on the lane should be the Lina, so the Lina should be the one getting the last hits. And you've kind of wasted one of the biggest strong spots of the hero, which is that in the beginning of the game where you can play the game of I am everywhere. You can't walk anywhere because I have bombs everywhere. Well, this is not true, and they know that because they just saw you constantly walking around here. They know exactly where the bombs are. They know exactly that you are in the bottom lane and didn't place anywhere else. So you lost a very big part that you what you could be doing in this amount. Also, in this time, the only thing you did was sapping XP from this lane. Okay, you're level 2 now. You have your suicide blast off, which is really good, and as we can see a bit after, you're going to do something really good with it also. But at this point you also didn't improve your total network at all. You don't have anything, right? You don't have your soul ring. You just wasted a lot of clarities in the process. You don't have any way of regaining HP, so you're very low, and you need to play very carefully with this. And that's also a problem. Now, we're gonna ignore the whole Peruvian insults here, pretend they don't exist, and gonna see what happens next, which is a point where you get a really good skill using your blast off, and that's a really good thing that you do. Well, since you're in this lane anyway, and you keep just walking back and forth in this point and not really accomplishing anything with it, at least what you did at some point was deciding to play really aggressive and go for this kill. I think maybe somewhere now. Yeah, you have also Lina who has a lot of damage and can really help with that. You keep constraining your enemies in this area, but they don't intend to go anywhere else anyway, so that is kind of pointless. At this point, it exploded another bomb, got a bit more health out of her, but now she knows again. And either they're really bad and they keep going there, or I don't know. Now you brought the lane with you, so they know exactly where you were. The creeps exploded the bombs, making it completely useless, right? So again, all of this time lost, nothing really happened, etc., etc. If you were playing against really good players, you would be really losing your lane right now compared to them. So this lane you would have lost already. What happens here, thank God, is your enemies are also not that good. This wind went for a boots pair of tangos that she really quickly had to use because of you. She didn't make more regen come out and she went for blades of attack. At this point, this wind is asking, please kill me. I have no straight at all in this lane. I'm not gonna be right clicking anyone, and I wasn't even smart enough to get a wind run, which would allow me to avoid all the damage that Lina dishes with her right clicks, and maybe to actually run away quickly enough to not be caught off by your stuff. This invoker, same thing, same thing. It has a boots, enchanted mango, and a windlace. I will profit from this moment to say this is one of the worst things that lower level players do, which is they don't understand the importance of regen. You want to have regen always. You don't ever want to sit at this amount in your HP. You want to always sit at least, at the very least, if you have 600 at, let's say, 500, and still be smart about it and make sure it doesn't go lower than that. Why? Because what's just gonna happen now might happen, which is if your enemies have a lot of damage and they go on you, such as this Lina. Lina has a very big amount of damage in the early game. She actually has a very good build for this specific case, which is she can even right click this wind and make a lot of damage with her Blightstone because the wind didn't skill the wind run. So right now this Lina is a force to be reckoned with. She's also super quick because she has boots and on top of boots windlace. So she starts playing really aggressive, and you react to her aggression in a very good way, which is you decide to try to go get the skill. The wind should literally just run back to base, but she's greedy, so she stays, and you get a very nice kill with your suicide. And I really like this moment because it means that you basically realized what you could do with your hero, right? So you understood that if she was greedy enough to stay, you could get a kill out of that. You know perfectly well that Blastoff is really good for that also because it has a lot of physical damage. So at this point in the game, if you're that low, you're just gonna explode, and you're gonna respawn really quickly and go back into the game. So I really like this. So far, so good. Except now, new problem. What happened? You got a lot of gold with that kill, or just you got a bit. You immediately bought a TP to go back to lane. That's really good. You need to keep doing that. Never forget, efficiency is to be as much as possible where the resources are. Gold, XP. As much as possible, you want to be there. So you bought a TP for that. But now, notice one thing. Because you had this complete rush soaring build that you tried to do, we didn't have regen at all. And now you didn't have enough money to just go and buy the Sage Mask that you needed on the side shop, for instance. So you go for the Ring of Regen in the base. Well, this is kind of okay because the way you are playing, actually, you need regen. You can't really work without regen. But as a techie, this doesn't give you anything. You're basically saying that, oh wow, now I have a Regan, I have more clarities that I bought, and I don't have anything that gives me any stats to be more survivable. I don't really have still amazing mana regen because I don't have the Soul Ring, and I'm just keep being a bit further behind, basically, with that. All goods, except once again, you go to the exact same lane and you place bombs exactly in the same place. And you really want to avoid this. If I was one of these players, I would never, but never ever again, walk in those trees anywhere near those because I know you're gonna always be there, you know. So that's a really big problem. But what you tried to do once again was you're playing to the fact that they don't have regen, the fact they are very low. You don't know exactly how much damage you do and how much life the enemies have. In this case, for instance, I know during the game it's really hard to do this kind of math, but in this specific case, if you're standing here, you see our enemies here, it's really easy. You click on them so you can see exactly how much. You look at your own skill, your own ability, I mean, sorry. You see you do a full damage of 300. This is physical. No, this is actually magical, sorry. This is magical, and so basically it gets blocked 25% magic resistance. You look how much HP you had before this. I don't know exactly what how much, but let's try to go a big back okay here. Yes, no, maybe. Yes, okay. Right now I'm gonna show you where you could actually do all this math. Right here, you place the bomb, blah blah blah, but you're not really actually getting last hits, you're not doing anything. You have time, literally time enough to just go, click on this invoker, see that it's sitting at 354, see how much you do, with your blast off, you do 300. So already is supposed to survive if you don't take into account magical resistance. So if you take into account magical resistance, it's clear that it's going to survive the blast. So you don't really want to blast him in this case, right? And this is a very interesting thing that you can always do when you're playing. If you have enough time for that, actually check your enemies. It's not complicated math. It's just literally how much damage do I do with this ability? How much life do they have? In this case, it's not hard, especially because you don't know if this Lena wants to commit further or not because she's still low. Actually, she's really low, so she also doesn't maybe want to commit that much. You still go for it, and it still ends up paying off. The Lena does more damage, so guy is sitting right now at 250. He has a lot of regen also because he has the Quas and he has an enchanted mango. So as you can see, his regen keeps going up, and you only go for it at some point. When he was already region all of that, right? He keeps walking around the same place. You decide, no, this is a really good moment to go on him. There's creeps coming up, so maybe it's not that bad. Still, because you went in, you're closer to the tower, so you're gonna get the aggro, right? So the tower is gonna hit you. You know that for a fact. Wind ends up dying to the Lena behind you. Problem is, you also don't. You probably didn't have even enough time to de-aggro, which you can do. I don't know if you know what this means, but it basically means you can right-click a friendly hero with A, and if you do that, the tower is going to attack not you but the creep. And you can do this when you're trying to dive in and making sure you don't die. I don't know if you had enough time to do that anyway, but you end up dying, and the invoker also dies to the Lina. Overall, what does this mean? Was this too bad? Was this good? Well, it wasn't too bad. You certainly know how to make use of your blast off, which is really interesting in lane especially. Problem is, there's a lot of other small things that you're not doing that would improve your general game a lot. Because right now, it's literally 5 minutes into the game. I also tried on purpose to do again the whole 5 minutes thing that I've been trying to tell you. How interesting it is that I can talk so much about only 5 minutes of the game. But in this 5 minutes, you already got kills, but also died. Maybe it was worth it, maybe not. At the same time, you stayed in the lane with Lina, dividing the XP for the Lina. So the Lina is a bit not as high in XP and level as she could be. You didn't get that much gold because also still you kept dying, and the way your item builds is growing is because you didn't have regen at all. You decided to go for the ring of regen, but then still again, if your attack is doesn't really matter. If your attack is, you have to think like this: your HP pool, your health needs to be always up no matter what, because the only thing you're going to be doing constantly is using your mana. And your mana is what you really want to boost as quick as possible, right? And your HP doesn't really matter, and you don't really need to get necessarily HP ways of regening, because you're going to kill yourself with your blast, and then you're going to just respawn and completely get your health back again, right? So what you really want to do is actually keep trying to boost your mana. And with this, you're not making any use of this 2 HP regen that you're getting. You're not getting any use. Look at this. Just before you were not hurt at all and you killed yourself. Didn't help you survive at all. Now you're walking into the lane. Didn't even get a TP to go back. It's just walking there. So you're losing all this time that you could be close to HP and gold. And you have a ring that's not going to help you with doing that. Now you're going to finally get your soul ring, if I'm not mistaken. You have enough gold for that. This is really good for you as a techies. Soul ring allows you to have enough mana to place your bombs. But let's see what happens. Pause here and I'm going to go back to this. Not only did you walk again and place like the 6th bomb in the exact same place, no mind games, no, you didn't walk unexpectedly to another place, another lane, and pressure the other lane. No, you went exactly back to the same place, placing the same bomb, which you want really to avoid as a techies, because you lose all that potential to pressure other lanes and to play the idea that they can't be safe anywhere. But also, and more importantly, you just bought your soul ring, right? We see you buying it. Well, the whole objective of soul ring is you need to use it. You go in, and what you do is you place the bomb without using your soul ring. So basically, mana goes back down, right? In this game, you actually have a Crystal Maiden. This is going to be really good to help you regen your mana. But you clearly don't understand that you can use and should use your Soul Ring to do that specifically, to place bombs. You're going to do that again. You're going to place another bomb. You're not going to use your Soul Ring. And you must avoid doing this at all costs. Because basically, Soul Ring allows you to not invest mana cost or as much mana cost as you could, because every time you use it, it literally gives you gain 150 mana, right? How much mana does your bombs cost now? 130. It means every time you use Soul Ring, you get a free bomb, so you need to use it. You see, and you just bought it, so it's really bad if you forget things like this. That could really help you. It makes the item basically a bit less useful. Uh, I think I'm gonna just end up the video here because I already talked a lot. I know it's just 6 minutes into the game, but you really need to understand what I keep trying to tell you, which is this beginning of the game already plays a very big importance in what's gonna happen. And you keep doing the same thing. You keep placing bombs in the same place. They know, right? You even bring aggro with you sometimes that destroys your own bombs. So that doesn't really help you actually also because you're not concentrating on farming. You're not pressuring lanes. So what are you exactly doing as a techies? And this is really important. This is what you need to understand. What is the place of techies in the game, in any game? Is it like a Lina that needs to farm enough items to blow up enemies? Is it like Invoker that needs to do exactly the same thing, farm items to blow up enemies? Or are you a Crystal Maiden that needs to be walking around trying to get kills for other heroes and placing sentries and pulling and all that stuff? No, you're a techies. So what the best you can accomplish is either get levels and farm on your own place. So that was the reason some players at some points made him go to the offlane, but on himself, alone, and tried to make sure he survives, but still got a bit, fair amount of XP and gold from that, so that he could get this really high up bombs that he could use in team fights and things like that. You're not doing that at all clearly here, right? So the other thing that you could be doing is the whole idea of the you're gonna not gonna be able to walk anywhere. I'm gonna pressure you all over the map, and I'm gonna use my bombs constantly in places that you don't expect. And you could have gone to the mid lane and you could have gone to the top lane. You could have actually even tried to get more kills like the ones you did here that were really good with your blast off, but in other places. What would have happened is this Lina would have way much more XP because she would be left alone. She would probably even do fine right now because she has an advantage over your enemies. Actually, not super much because now she has her phase boots now, yeah. So she still has an advantage over, for instance, this invoker, even though they are the exactly same level. Why are they exactly the same level? Because they kept dividing XP with someone. You kept dividing XP with Wind, and you kept dividing it with Lina. And this is a thing most players forget also in lower levels. They really think they are helping by staying in lane. They think that's the objective. They think dual lanes are completely fine, when in reality, what that means is you're not getting as efficiently resources as you could. That's the reason why off lanes exist with only one hero in higher levels. Because that one hero there can get what you need on that specific hero, which most of the times is XP, not gold, for instance. That hero is not supposed to be farming. That hero is supposed to get XP enough so that he grabs this advantage in a specific moment and then it can work in a specific way, you see? Techies is not like that. Techies relies a lot on the idea that you create space. And the way you create space is not by necessarily completely pressuring these two heroes on the safe lane, but also by creating the idea on the other lanes that they're all pressured. No one can walk safely anywhere. And right now, that's not what's happening. And the enemy lanes are pretty crappy, to be honest. You have a Luna mid. Lunas don't necessarily want to be mid. They actually should be safe lane, getting all the last hits that they can and not being pressured at all. Well, this Luna is here. She's farming, and for no reason, she's sitting at half of her HP here, for instance. If you were to be anywhere around somewhere that could be helpful, maybe you could get a kill here on this Luna, and you would make her really go behind, right? Especially because she's against your sniper that's falling behind compared to her. If you went top, you're also going to see in top they have, well, guess what? A Spectre on the offlane. A terrible hero to offlane. Maybe you could get a kill on him also. What happened? You didn't. These two heroes on the mid and on the offlane know exactly where you are, so they don't need to care. And I haven't even mentioned the fact that they have a Pudge. This Pudge has been roaming this entire game, doing whatever he wants. It doesn't matter that it's bad, so he didn't really accomplish much. The thing is, if he wanted, he could have. He could, for instance, walked into the safe lane where he knows exactly where you are because you keep being here and placing bombs here. He could have hooked you under the tower and kept killing you. And the only reason he didn't was because he wasn't good enough for that. But you can't play according to the fact that enemies aren't good enough. You need to try to improve yourself. So what could you have been doing better? So I want to end the video now and just watch. And the last thing that you're gonna do, you're gonna try to be helpful with support, so you buy a word. Problem with the word that you buy, just one small thing. If you ever try to help with support again, don't ever place words in situations where they might have seen you. In this case, you have an enemy catapult here. You even have invoker not so far, even though it's nighttime. If they're not, again, if they're not really bad, they will keep constantly checking your inventory also. That's something that, for instance, I do a lot because I can see if the enemies are holding words or not. And according to their movements, what I do is if they have a word here, and then suddenly I see them on the other side of the river and they don't have the word anymore, I know they dropped it somewhere along the way, right? And what happened here is you showed up with Lena with the word in your inventory, then you walk into complete vision and you place the word. Not only if they click you, they know exactly where the word is, but also they know because you placed it in vision. I know this. The words are not. How do I need to explain this before you don't understand what I mean? When you place a word, it's not that the word itself is visible because you need sentries for that, right? And you know that obviously. What is visible is your animation. Any person that plays Dota long enough knows exactly well what it means to place a word. The hero walks in a certain direction and he does this movement. That means he placed a word. You just need to see the hero walking around and doing that. So what you always want to do is you don't want to place words in vision. Because if they see you place the word, they buy a sentry, they reward you. Right? So you don't want that to happen. Except for that, for the fact that you did it completely on vision, this word is a really good word if you want to push this tower. It allows you to know if there's help coming in. It allows you to see TPs. It allows you to play much more aggressively. I really like it. So I would suggest you keep having this word, especially if you want to push. Only trouble is you need to be way more careful with what you do in vision and off vision. So ending up, the notes that I have for you, what do I want to tell you that's really important? First thing, you really need to know how to diversify. You need to get out of your lane. You need to place new bombs in new places. If you keep doing the same thing all over again as a techies, that means you're not being useful and you're not doing as efficiently as you could. First thing. Second thing, you really need to learn what aggro means, which is when you when creeps starting attacking you and following you somewhere, and you need to avoid that at all costs. You need to avoid doing stuff like this that just happened, which is your life drops so drastically just because you tanked a bunch of creeps. You're always supposed to be playing around the way creeps behave and making sure you don't aggro them. In this case, also because you're a techies, every time you aggro them, you're probably going to bring them to a place where you have bombs. So, in a way, it's useless because you don't want to be using your bombs to just get last hits like that. You're not really pushing the lane to your favor, you're just getting last hits out of your other hero, and it's not really helping you anyway. So, you need to be attentive to this kind of things. Not Last thing that you really need to care about, more general notion of what's happening, more little small things that you need to think. For instance, you need to think maybe at this point I want to buy my boots before that. You almost died there. You almost lost your entire money. You already had your 500 something something for boots. If you're a techie, you really constantly need to go around. Boots are really good for that. So these small things like this, you need to understand better the general gameplay, what you could be doing, what is happening with the enemies, what is not, where to stay in a certain point. Right now, for instance, I would get the fuck away. I would just walk away. You have no life, you have no mana. Staying there is only going to make you be in a very difficult spot. The only reason that saves you is, again, the fact that your enemies are bad. And you really don't want to rely on the fact that your enemies are bad. So, trying to improve these little things would already propel you a lot. And maybe, for instance, you would already be sitting at level 6. So, with your magical bombs that are really good for pushing lanes, also protecting towers, team fighting, and this is all I wanted to tell you. Try to be more diversified in these things, and you just got to kill here with the Spudge, even though they know where you are. You see? And this is really good. And I understand that you keep having the feeling that what you're doing is right because of that. But if you don't improve on these things, you're not going to get out of this level. So it's important that you improve on these things and then you can actually also just get better. Right now, you did that again. You see? completely on vision, you placed a bomb. You were literally under her vision, you placed a bomb, and then you tried to kill her. Even though your life is so down and her life was so up compared to yours that it was really, really easy to understand that she was not going to die. You were going to die first. So you need to be working a bit better on the specific things in the laning phase specifically. And with this, you're going to improve a lot, and then it's going to help you a lot throughout the rest of the game. Well, I hope this helps. And this is all. If anyone of you also have more questions, more replays that you want me to see, more specific questions about a specific hero, or even just techies, feel free to say something. Thank you. Bye.